So here we go. um, I am out of my element, but I have been really debating on doing this as a um, hopefully as something that will help others who may have gone through similar situations that I have. And of course, just dealing with mental health issues, which is so close to my heart. So today I'm going to cover the reason why I am doing what I'm doing, and what led me to this part of my life. So a little bit about myself. My name is Sandy Gant, and I am a domestic violence survivor. Um, that relationship was 20 years. It has taken a lot of mental health work to work through some of those things. I'm still working through physical issues, spiritual issues, and mental health issues. And that is one of the reasons why I really wanted to do this, is because I know that I'm not alone. We see this type of thing, domestic abuse. We see that the statistics are 1 out of every 4 women have encountered or are living in an abusive situation with an intimate partner or a spouse. So I'm totally not one off by any stretch of the imagination. And if you're like me, I have encountered spiritual abuse as well. Um, Pretty much around this whole issue of domestic violence and getting out of a marriage that was not healthy for me or him, for that matter. Um, so that's a little bit about myself. I have recently graduated with my bachelor's in psychology. I'm on my way to becoming a therapist. So I began my master's degree program with Texas Tech University, guns up, in August. I'm super excited. It's going to take me 2 years. So that's basically where I am. So the reason why I chose the name The One in Front of Me came from a story about Mother Teresa, and I love her. I love reading about her. I love studying about her life. Such a humble woman, and such a powerhouse too. So the story is that she was having a hospital ward named after her, and one of the reporters was a reporter was interviewing her and asked her the question, how do you feel about having this hospital ward named after you, and you must be super stoked. Use different words, but yeah, you get the point. You must be super excited about having a ward. I mean, there's going to be possibly thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people possibly coming and seeing your name, over this ward. And she said, I really don't care. This is paraphrase, of course. She said, I really don't care. I mean, I'm not really concerned about the thousands. I'm more concerned about the one in front of me. And that speaks so much to my heart, because I love to have one-on-one conversations with people. One of the reasons why I am so excited to become a therapist, so that I can have these relational conversations with people that aren't, huge public. I'm not opposed to speaking in front of people, but I find such, fulfillment in one-on-one. And I believe one-on-one relationships are incredible, and they're vital, not only for our spiritual well-being, but for our mental well-being. And we were created to be in relationship. So that's the reason for the name, the one in front of me. So let's see. I wrote all of these things down so that I could keep track, because I usually chase rabbit holes or rabbit trails, rabbit holes. Anyway, okay, so one of the things that I really want to address is mental health, and specifically mental health with narcissists. Narcissistic abuse, being abused by a narcissist, is on a whole different level. It impacts us so severely because it whittles away at our confidence. And if you hear my dogs bark, I'm at home in my office, so just a mental note. But it whittles away at our confidence, our just who we are. And the sad part about it is that narcissists usually come after people that are confident and empathetic and caregivers. They like to really play on the person who has a giving heart and believes the best in people. So I don't say that pridefully. I just say that if you are that kind of person, you need to be really aware. And oftentimes that's a lot of us. There's a lot of us who deeply care, especially, just in the helping industries, in the helping careers, like nurses and mental health providers and teachers and people who serve, which I think that we see a lot of that. The reason why we see a lot of that, particularly in spiritual settings like churches, which we need to be very aware of. I believe that that's the reason, is because, we want to believe the best in people. We believe in forgiveness. We believe in, hey, if you mess up, Lord knows I've been given chance after chance after chance. Why wouldn't I do that for others? So, there is a danger in that, however. So basically, I want to address narcissism. And we're going to discuss this. This is going to be like a very ongoing conversation that we will have. Hopefully, as this podcast continues, I will have others around me who can speak about that. And we'll have a conversation between us and with you as well. So, narcissism is a personality disorder. Narcissism, I believe, is on a scale. It's all of us have some narcissism in us. We can be selfish at times. We can be self-absorbed at times. But there is a difference between being confident and being a narcissist. So I really want to address narcissism. If they haven't been diagnosed, that there are people, and a lot of times narcissists never darken the door or come into any type of accountability or any type of therapy at all. If you can get them into therapy, they usually don't last. They'll go for a small amount of time until things start. They can't schnooker the therapist. So that's usually where it ends. So I was also, I remember going through, my therapy, leaving my abuser, and going through therapy and hearing that, unfortunately, this is something that it's a personality disorder. And so it is very ingrained in people, just like we have our personality types. Um, I am a big fan of the Enneagram. So just as we have those rooted personality types that we cannot change. This is something that has developed. It's a personality disorder that has developed within these individuals. And so it's not curable. They can, if they are willing, they can go to therapy to learn how to be empathetic and to be, aware. But as far as curing narcissism, it is not curable. So that's one of the reasons why I chose to get out of that relationship with my abuser, is because I knew that it wasn't going to be curable and that my life would be the same. I would be in that type of environment for the rest of this individual's life. So I wasn't willing to stay because it was more dangerous for me to stay, not even counting the abuse, but just the mental and the emotional and the spiritual abuse that I was encountering was too much for me, and I chose to leave. I look at it as a life-saving divorce that I did. I love that term. So that's a little bit. Narcissism is, they have people with narcissistic personality disorder are, they lack empathy. They do not, it's, I liken it to, they have never learned how to be emotionally mature. They do not grow. That's the reason why a lot of narcissists, if you will notice, they are, they act like toddlers. And for lack of a better term, like they're adults, but they have the emotional maturity of toddlers. And so therefore you see the tantrums and you see these all out things that, like, you're going, what in the world is happening? That is because they have never matured past the toddler stage. They are stunted. So let's see. So when we're talking about narcissism, specifically when it comes to, we have noticed, if you're, clued into anything that's happening concerning the church world, any of that, especially in evangelicalism. Now we went through with Catholicism, but now we're really honing in on the evangelical world. And why we are so, like, we're seeing such abuse that is happening within the evangelical church. Southern Baptist Convention. Now we're looking at places like International House of Prayer. We're looking at places like Gateway Church with Robert Morris. We're seeing these Joni Lamb with Daystar. We're seeing all of these people who are leaders within the evangelical church, and we're seeing them really showing some unchristian-like behavior. Okay, these leaders, these leaders of large ministries, these leaders of large churches, and we're seeing this unbelievable behavior. Where they really genuinely think that they can get by with clergy sexual abuse, spiritual abuse, that they honestly think because they've been doing this for years, and with no accountability, with no, nothing that's happening like right now. Now they're being held to accountability, held in to know that they are, you're not going to behave like this. We're not going to allow you to behave like this. You're not going to smear the name of Jesus like this. And there is a rallying with people who are no longer, and being very vocal about it, and they're looking and they're believing the survivors of this abuse that's, oftentimes has happened, 20, 30, 40 years. And there's suddenly, we have these advocates that are stepping in and saying, this is not going to work anymore, not on our watch. And so I am so thankful for that. I think that it's been an ongoing issue. It's just that it's just now being uncovered. And so I want to address, why is it that we in particular within the church, within the body of Christ, why is it that we are so in love with narcissists, and so in love with wanting to put them on a pedestal and put them in leadership over us? What is it that is so appealing? And I think that we have mistaken strength with narcissism, because narcissists are so, they appear to be so with it. They appear to be so strong and so confident. And we all fall for it, right? We can see it. We can see it politically. We can see it within our careers, within our jobs. We can see it within our churches and our lives, and even in our intimate relationships. We see this narcissism that we believe that, oh, this person seems so strong and so confident. Yeah. And if you have a certain personality, we are prone to just letting loose of, the control, because there's nothing more that a narcissist likes than control. And so they use control, intimidation. You come away from them like, I am the biggest dummy ever. Like, they're so far above me. And so I want to address that, because within the church, especially, according to the gospel, according to Jesus, the new covenant means that there is no longer a hierarchical thing that's happening amongst us. We are each able to have our own relationship with Jesus. We are each able to come before the throne of God and pray and have a personal relationship. There is the only high priest, the only person who is that goes between us and the Father is Jesus. He is our high priest. Not even your pastor, not even your elders, no one who you may perceive as so much more spiritual than you. Oh my goodness, they have a prayer life that I can't possibly have. Like, they hear the voice of God. Here's the thing. Each of us who are in relationship with God, who have a personal relationship with Jesus Christ, can hear from God. Each of us. And so this is why we stumble up on these places like IHOP, is because you have Mike Bickle, who is giving prophetic words to you, and you believe that he somehow has a better connection because they have told us that they have a better connection. This is the issue. This is the problem that we have, is when you relinquish your power, when you relinquish that confidence to someone else that they have a better something, that they must know better because, look how spiritual they are. They have a prayer life where they pray like 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Like, who am I to stand up against that? According to the Bible, we are on an equal playing field. So I will put in some notes about, where you can find scripture that backs that up. We are all equal. We are all on the even playing field at the foot of the cross as believers in Jesus. And so to have that mentality where you are being taught that there goes the dogs. When you are being taught that there is when you are being taught that people are better than you or higher than you, as a woman, this is very taught. Like, we are taught within the church that men are better than us, that men have a higher place somehow than we do. And that goes completely against creation itself. It goes completely against how God instructed us and how God instructed us to take care of the earth, and to that we are partners with men, that we are very much made in the image of God, just as men are made in the image of God. We are both made in the image of God. And so when you have this power differential, being told repeatedly that somehow pastors are better, that they can hear better, or that elders are better and can hear God better than the average churchgoer or the average Christian, the average follower of Jesus, that wives are somehow not on the same level as their husbands, that we can't be equal. When you have that mentality in place, and we have that, this is across the board. We deal with this. Women do not get equal pay to men. Women are thought to their place. The old time is still at play. The woman's place is to be at home taking care of the kids and taking care of the home. I lived it. I know. And it's perpetuated by this mentality within too many churches that is what good wives are like. And we are here to serve our husbands. But here's the thing. We are here as brothers and sisters in the Lord. If we are followers of Jesus, as brothers and sisters in the Lord, we are here to serve one another, right? And that is across the board, married, non-married. We are to honor and respect one another. That's just how it is. And that's how God created us. That was the perfect picture of unity. There is no high and there is no low. There is no power differential, or should not be. Sadly, that is not the case. And so here we show, I believe that this narcissistic power thing, Now there are narcissistic women. Do not think that I'm not saying that. There are narcissistic women, but there right now we have in place, because we have this thing where men are better or higher or better able to handle intense things, and better equipped for leadership, which is a lie. But that's where we are. That's the social construct that we live in right now. And so we can see it at play. I hate politics, hate it with a passion. But I will tell you right now, we are dealing with a narcissist in control of our administration in the United States of America right now. The reason why we are seeing these power plays and this need for dominance over every single ally, over every single country, thinking that he can go and take over Canada or take over Greenland and subjugate Canada to the 51st state. Like, that is a slap in the face, and that is a power move. That is classic narcissistic behavior. And so I believe that that's what we have going. And so as a result, you have, never mind how he views women, he even views countries that way, that he is somehow that the United States is somehow better than every other country. I love my country. Do not think that I don't love my country. I love my country. I'm proud. I'm so thankful that I live in the United States. But for me to think, as a believer, as a follower of Jesus, that somehow my country is better than other countries, and that for some reason I am on a higher playing field and I'm, I guess, closer to God than other countries and other believers who happen to live in those countries, that's ridiculous. And that is classic behavior for a narcissist, to think so highly of themselves. And you have that going on all the way down. Like, we have that in play with our national leadership. We see that on in the religious realm, in the church realm, you see that playing out, and you see it playing out within homes, everywhere. So this is a problem. And so how do we address this problem? Education. You have to be smart. You have to educate yourself. You have to be willing to think, like, to realize that you don't know everything, that you don't have to believe everything that they're feeding you, and which they don't like. Just an FYI. Education, we can see it at play even in that. It's being abused. You see this right now. I mean, headlines today, and this is Friday, May 23rd, 2025. Today, I see that, these things are being lobbed against Harvard because they dared to stand up and they dared to say, oh no, like, you can't tell us, that is not legally your realm. So you're not going to tell us what to do. And now you've got this attack going against Harvard. You have this attack against bringing people from overseas, which we've been doing for years. People from overseas have come to America to get their education. That's wonderful. Like, it's wonderful to have people who love America and want to come here to study. There's nothing wrong with that. And there's nothing wrong with standing up against a power that is being unethical and totally stepping over their boundaries. So all that to say, we see this in our in our lives on a daily basis right now. It is covering every single portion of society. And so this podcast is to address, why are we, domestic abuse is so insidious. And I wanted to address, because it's such a dear part, and I know what caused me to stay stuck in it for so long was this idea that I had to stay. I was being told by Christian counselors, by leaders within the church, that as a Christian lady, I didn't have the right to divorce, that I didn't have the right to leave, that I needed to stay and be strong, and since I was a strong one, to be like, and somehow, like, I was expected to be the strong one, but I was also told that I wasn't the leader, and that I had to submit under this abuse and live with it indefinitely. I wasn't willing to do it. I wasn't willing to die on that hill, like figuratively and probably legitimately. I was not willing to succumb to that and bow my head to that any longer. And so the goal of this podcast, and what I really want to uncover and unwrap and look into, is domestic abuse, and what are we being taught that perpetuates this ongoing issue? Because it is not stopping. It's amping up, and my job, at my previous place of employment, that's what we dealt with. We dealt with survivors of domestic abuse, and what I just question what keeps perpetuating that. What are we as a society doing that is perpetuating this ongoing issue with domestic abuse? And hear me when I say this. Women are not the only victims. Women aren't. Men are also victims of domestic abuse. There's plenty of statistics that discuss that. Their numbers are far, different. So I think that the statistic is 1 in every 4 women. I believe that the statistic for men is 1 in every, I could be wrong, I'll correct it if I am, 1 in every 6, I believe. It could be even as 1 in every 9. I can't remember exactly the numbers and statistics, but I do know that women are the higher count. Like, this is happening with women and children. And so I want to address, what is perpetuating this? What is causing the high numbers? What is causing this to continue? Because this domestic abuse, domestic violence, intimate partner violence is continuing to take place, and has been since humanity started, frankly, because there is this idea that we have to be in control and we have to be in power. And so as long as that's happening, sadly, this will be something that we have to address. But what can we do to somehow counter this without falling into perpetuating it and perpetuating this hierarchical thing that's happening in society and within the church specific? So that's what I want to start this podcast with, let you know what this is going to be about. And I'm super excited to be able to share with you a little bit about how my brain is working, and my path to becoming a mental health provider, and what makes me tick, basically, and what makes a lot of people tick. And hopefully we can discuss and come up with some answers and hopefully, really work on this together, because that's how we overcome, right? We overcome things together. And so that's what this is about. And I hope that you will stay with me and enter that journey with me, and continue to be educated. And as I'm educated, and welcome. I'm excited to have you along for the ride. And so let's get healthy together, right? Let's get healthy.